Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of What in the World is Happening, the show about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom. I'm Sabina Qureshi, broadcasting live from Edmonton, Canada, and with me today is Yvonne Lewis in Chicago. Hi, Yvonne. How are you doing?
Hi, Sabina. Just fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Just happy that it hasn't snowed yet. That's what I have to say. We broadcast live every second and fourth Saturday on Zoom, Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch. At the end of each show, we do 30 minutes of transmission meditation, a free and potent group meditation for anybody over the age of 12. So we hope that you'll stick around and join us or come back and join us. You might really like it. Today's topic is Encounters with Maitreya, and this is part 2. We did part 1 a few weeks back. And we're going to continue talking about how Maitreya has been appearing to people and showing his face basically around the world. And the essential message, the takeaway from this show, if you will, is that Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom are with us all the time. We may not be aware of them, but they are here and they're part of our lives.
Just as Sabina was saying, that Maitreya and the Masters are normal human men and women, as we show on our next slide. But the difference is that they have perfected themselves and are faultless, which is what we can also do. They're filled with the love of God, and they're able to demonstrate that love and radiate it into the world. We just love to say that the normalization of Masters and Maitreya is so important, and we hope you see them that way.
By normalization, do you mean that for us to not put them on a pedestal, that type of thing?
Yes, consider them as elder brothers, I would say. That's the more appropriate way, because they are like us, and we're all brothers and sisters. And they're showing us how to become more perfected.
That's true. We're part of a family. That's right. And what the Ageless Wisdom teaches us is that all of life is divine. All people are divine. We all share this divinity, and we share it also with the Masters because they are people like us who have gone further ahead on the path of evolution, the evolution of consciousness. So when they look at us, they see themselves, and they want us to do the same. They want us to see ourselves in each other and to see in them who we are in the process of becoming, because they say that we will also one day attain or reach that level of consciousness. It's simply a matter of time. And so when you have that understanding, then you realize the Masters are not some far off, strange type of being. They really are ourselves.
Here we're depicting the Masters in their light bodies. But as it turns out, that 1,200 years ahead of time, Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom are out in the open. Starting in 1975, some of the Masters emerged from their retreats in the mountains and deserts of the world. They are again perfected men. They've completed their evolutionary journey on Earth, but they've stayed behind to assist us in accomplishing what they have. It's a path of return. There's no further need for them to reincarnate on Earth, but through reincarnation, we are able to accomplish the goals that they show us. They are emerging now to openly guide humanity at our request. They're in physical bodies, behind the scenes, that is, meeting with people, incognito, not necessarily saying who they are.
And with them is Maitreya, and he is one of the Masters. He's the head of that group. They do work as a hierarchy simply because people have different levels of awareness, different capacities, ability to take responsibility, and that's something we're all familiar with in our daily lives. So it makes sense. It's quite logical that people would have different roles, different jobs. He embodies unconditional love, and this love is something that he is streaming to all of us. It streams from him to each one of us, and it's connecting with us in our hearts. He always says that that's the way to find him, is in our hearts. He's expected by all the world's major religions, And each religion gives him a different name, but he's the one person who fulfills all these predictions. He will be with us for the next 2,250 years, and he's simply waiting for us to ask him to step forward. And that will come as an invitation to him through the world's media.
This information has come to us in the West through the Ageless Wisdom teachings. First of all, Helena Blavatsky in the mid or late 19th century was able to go up and study with the Masters of Wisdom in the high Himalaya. And she came back to say, there are teachers there, and I gained this wisdom from them. She wrote several books. And the next person is Alice A. Bailey, who, working with another Master of Wisdom or a Master of Wisdom, actually wrote 19 books. And her information said that these Masters of Wisdom would be returning to our everyday world. Helena Rorish, the next individual, spoke widely about human life and advancement of human life. And she authored the Agni Yoga teachings. Benjamin Creme, who we all met, or both of us met, is the person who has talked about the latest chapter in this story, that the men that these great women, I think of them as, talked about and expected and expressed their wishes and thoughts, are back in the world, again, working behind the scenes, as well as with their leader, the head of the group, Maitreya.
And we will be watching some videos later in the program. We'll see videos of Benjamin Creme talking about Maitreya. And we also have a video shot by one of us, Cielito Pascual, who's doing tech support today. And so that'll be quite interesting to watch. The thing about the Masters is it's sometimes hard to really envision what that is, somebody who's reached that level of consciousness. I know that when I first heard about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, I felt that I wouldn't be able to ever meet one of them because I would be too scared. I would be nervous, unsure what to say, sort of like meeting the Queen or something. I wouldn't know how to behave. So that the thought of their presence on the one hand was comforting, knowing they're here, kind of like, oh, well, good. We're not just on our own, kind of mismanaging our lives and, the planet Earth in the process and each other. But on the one hand, okay, comforting, but I felt like I'd rather they keep a distance from me because that would just be too scary. And I think it's a question of each person's own inner sense of what's right for them. The neat thing about the Masters is that they will never infringe our free will. First of all, they don't want to infringe our free will because they understand that evolution takes place through free will. That is, it's only when we act freely that we can really grow. And we all know that because we've all sat in a schoolroom somewhere being forced to read something or do something, and it doesn't penetrate, it doesn't register if you're not doing it of your free will. So they will not infringe our free will. And then what that means is that, let's say that you feel a bit trepidatious about the existence of these people. Well, for sure, they will not show up in your life and appear to you until you're ready for that. And so this quote we have up here is just that Maitreya is somebody who is very easy to be around. He's easy in terms of his energy, his qualities. There's nothing difficult there at all.
He has grace, he exhibits joy, but his wisdom is a moderate kind of wisdom. And we'll be, I think, when we see him, expect to see him, we'll be happy that it's finally happened, that we have an elder brother who is able to help us directly.
Absolutely.
Maitreya, for 2,000 years, rather 2,000 years ago, manifested through this disciple Jesus just for the last 3 years of his life.
And he later, very recently in 1977, appeared in our world in a physical body. So he was living in the Himalayas. The masters traditionally have always lived in places far away from our cities and where the places where we live. So in the high mountains or in the deserts. And since they don't have the same needs for food, for water, for sleep, that is, their physical bodies no longer exert any pull on them. Therefore, they can live in those places. But so in 1977, he took a physical body, a body he had created himself, and he came down from the Himalayas. That's why we say descended. And he went to Karachi, got on a plane, and flew to London. And he's been living in London ever since. But being a person who's omniscient and able to appear and disappear at will anywhere in the world, we say he's based in London. That's how Benjamin Creme describes it. He's based in London. But I don't think we could say he lives in London the way I live in Edmonton or you, Yvonne, live in Chicago, because he's not limited by time and space.
He goes all over the world for whatever need there is there, and returns. So the next bubble, as it were, is his connection to Benjamin Creme was by means of overshadowing and telepathy. And in 1977, Benjamin Creme started receiving public messages from Maitreya, which we'd like to just show you as an example.
His messages, I read them. I think that was the first thing that I encountered of Maitreya was his messages. And my experience of them in the very beginning, when I first read them, was just an overwhelming feeling of love and peace. And also joy, I would say, because of the way that the words penetrated my heart, and it felt as though he was speaking directly to me. And I believe that's exactly what he is doing. He's speaking directly to us in these messages. And he's asking us to listen to the true voice of God in our hearts. When we do that, it's evident to us that the only correct course of action is to share what we have. Not necessarily, okay, you can share on a physical level, but that globally we need to share. And that's the only way we'll really sort out our mess.
We do have problems which need to be overcome. So that is a wise message. Many today admit the necessity for change, and we know that all of us are among those. We don't want to lose anything. We're afraid, but we resist the change that we know will bring about good results. And we do it because we're afraid of losing profit. We're unwilling to share profit. So this came out very, very clearly in the protests at the recent, and probably still today is going on, COP26. My friends, unless man can do this, man on earth will cease to be. I threaten not, but simply state the truth. That really connected. There's little time left, as the protesters at COP say, to restore the balance of nature and the world.
Well, and now we all understand this, but it's amazing to think that this message was transmitted in 1978. Back then, I think very few people had this awareness, perhaps some ecologists or some scientists, but in general, nobody was thinking in this way at that time.
It started maybe they're thinking 20 years ago, but not in 1978, 20 years afterward, I'm sorry. The next message is many people are blind and would rush toward disaster. That is, it doesn't seem to make a difference that others are suffering, but my plan is to halt this plunge, he says, and turn the tide, which is help we desperately need. I will show man that the only possible choice is through sharing and mutual interdependence. That is the solution that Benjamin Creme saw in all of his connections with the Masters of Wisdom and Maitreya, that sharing by governments of the world was the most critical part of our recovery and our moving to a new civilization.
And just a word about this, when we talk about sharing and the idea of the Masters and Maitreya being here to help us, we're not saying that they're going to solve the problems for us, because they can't. We have to do it. They're our problems, we created them. They come to guide and help in that way, to give us counsel. So in that sense, like an older person in your family or a parent who can give you a good advice, but they can't live your life for you. You have to do that yourself. And so one of the things that we also want to talk about are the ways in which Maitreya has appeared to individuals. This is something we have confirmation of through Benjamin Creme, through his contact with his master, until Benjamin Creme passed away in 2016. So we're going to talk about some of these experiences, some that happened to us as well, and others that were published in Share International magazine. But first, we're going to look at the video that Cielito recorded at the New York City Public Library in 1998. And this person that she filmed was confirmed to be Maitreya by Benjamin Creme's master.
This was photographed in the summer of 1998 in the Mid-Manhattan Library on my lunch hour. I carried my mini DV camera everywhere. This was before smartphones all had cameras on them, mind you. And I was just captured by this array of personal belongings in a study carrel and started videotaping. Nobody was around. And what caught my eye with these bright pops of colors, neon yellow, neon pink, neon orange, and there was just something enchanting about it to my eye. And you can see anything that could contain anything was stuffed with papers, pens, cassette tapes. This briefcase can't even close. All these sheets of sheet music. There's diagrams of flutes, carefully highlighted notes. And this says, there will be literal peace among mankind and between men and animals, just as Isaiah foretold. So here was the owner, who was totally gracious with me, allowed me to photograph him as he's sitting there. You know, who does that? Who lets a stranger point a camera at them? But this man did. He never spoke a word, never said one word. Very unself-conscious, self-possessed. Handsome man. Here he is clipping his hair to add a little more action to the video. Obviously someone of modest means, but not self-conscious at all. And coming up, here he is holding and playing it's a handmade flute. It looks like it's made from the handle of a tricycle, and I could see the mouthpiece was made from a broken off whistle. And he just starts fingering it. He didn't play it out loud, you could hear his notes. I tried to get him to play out loud, but he understands he's in a library. Pretty soon a guard comes and tells me to shut off the camera.
That is just wonderful.
Very wonderful.
Okay, now I don't know how to go out of full screen. What?
This was photographed
There we go. Okay.
of 19.
And he was considered to be Maitreya. And the thing I want to mention about that is simply that there's a lot of humor in what we see in that video, and a lot of love. We see a person who's living his life and engaged in numerous activities, a musician, busy with a lot of stuff. And there's an air of freedom. That's what I've always felt when I watch that video. This person is free. He's not worrying about what other people think or about what's right. He's living his life. It's very inspiring.
Yes, it is, Savina. Our next slide is of a person visiting Florence, Italy. And in Florence, he saw a little girl and her mother, a beggar. After taking her picture, I gave them some money. As I touched the young girl and said how beautiful she was, an enormous feeling of love came over me. This is the experience. It was so strong that I suddenly began to cry for a long time. That the person said, I will never forget, and it gives me a lot of strength. The feeling was so intense. Confirmed by by Benjamin Krem's master that the mother was Maitreya, and the little girl was the Master Jesus. So here we are with two masters of wisdom and the head of the group of masters appearing at once together.
And it seems to me, if you see them appearing as beggars, they're making a comment about the state of the world and what's needed. And the next picture we have is also of two people who were begging, this time in Lisbon. And again, Benjamin Krem's master confirmed the woman was Maitreya and the child was the Master Jesus. The person who took the photo said that when he saw them initially, they were sleeping and they were almost totally covered with their clothing. And all you could see was like a human bundle. He said he was immediately touched by a sense of pure and honest reality and thought, they really need our help. I forgot to mention that this was published in Share International magazine. We've got it on the slide as SI, that's short for Share International magazine, in October 2002. And the previous slide, we'll just go back for a sec. This one was published in Share International magazine in June of 2001. So you can look these up and read the description and the story of the person who took the photo and how they experienced it and what it meant to them.
That's such so great about Benjamin Krem's information. It's all documented, So I like to talk about a person who was in Haiti after the earthquake in 2010, who said, I saw, when I came close to a group of people, I noticed a woman and what seemed to be her granddaughter. Her attitude was so outstanding that I took some photos of them both. I made some gentle gestures to the little girl, who remained serious, although at the end she smiled. And this occurrence, the mother was the Master Jesus and Maitreya was the little girl. This was published in Share International magazine in March of 2010.
And the next one we're going to talk about, this is something I experienced, and it was published in Share International magazine in 2008. And I was living in Barcelona, Spain at the time. I was riding to work on a bicycle in the afternoon, and I saw a man sleeping on a bench on the side of the road. And I started thinking, what is it like to sleep on the street, on a busy street full of traffic? What is it like to live on the street? On the next bench, there was this man that you see in the photo, and he looked very much like a friend of mine who I'd been living with in the countryside, who was a bit of a anti-system person. And it caught my eye, the appearance of this man. And as I went past him, I suddenly had this flash of awareness, that's Maitreya. It just hit me. So I turned around and went back to talk to him. And the very first thing he said was, the God of all that is loves you and wants you to be happy. These words really struck me hard. They penetrated to my heart because I'd been feeling very stressed about my sense that I wasn't doing enough work, that I wasn't making a proper effort in life. And when I heard that, I just felt like, oh, it's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It was very reassuring. So that's, yeah.
These experiences that Salito and Sabina have had are all the type of experiences that many of you may have had and didn't realize what was happening to you. And you find that these experiences, as Benjamin Creme said, are tremendously uplifting and offer solace, joy, strength, and relief sometimes.
Yes, that's right. And you have one to share, right?
Oh, this happened to me in San Diego in 2008. I was part of a team of people who did street fairs and expos almost every weekend. And once here we were outdoors at a Vietnamese multicultural festival. And it happened that two men in sort of formal suits, blue gray, both had the same kind of suit on, closed at the collar, came walking past the booth, and they went on to the end of the row and started walking back. And when they reached the booth, the Share International booth, they both stopped, and the taller man came forward and said, "What is this all about?" So I gave him my take on what this message was all about. And he had something to say to me. It seemed that I was talking to him face to face. For a while, he was speaking, and he had dark black sunglasses on, sort of round ones, and his mouth, when he opened it, was also round and he appeared to be, although middle-aged, without teeth. And so I listened to him. I couldn't really look him in the eyes, but I looked up into the sky, which was, as you may see it there. And I just felt as if I were in a beautiful space out in space with this man standing, and that we were the only two people, in creation, as it were. So it was just kind of an incredible experience, which later proved to me that I was so grateful for.
And one thing to just remember is that many, many people will probably have had experiences like this, but if they haven't heard about the Masters of Wisdom or Maitreya, it might not, you might not realize who exactly you were talking to or who was talking to you. But the Masters appear to people all the time, all over the world. They're also active in every time there's some type of disaster, a war, an earthquake. They're always there helping. And Cielito often says they're like the first responders. So when we talk about these experiences, it's not to say that, only a small group of people have had this type of experience. Not at all, far from it. The reason we can say, yes, this was Maitreya is because we found out about this information and we found out about Benjamin Creme and Share International magazine. And so we were able to send in a little letter saying, this happened to me, and was this someone special? And so if you've had an experience like this and you'd like to share it, we would love to hear from you. So please message us at Share International Canada on Facebook and tell us your story, because these are always inspiring and uplifting for everybody. One of the reasons that Benjamin Creme asked people to write into the magazine about this type of experience was that people reading about it would get inspired and uplifted as well. So it wasn't just for the person who experienced it, it was something to be shared abroad widely. So definitely, please do write in and tell us about your experiences, because we love to hear these stories and we love to share them.
And we share, if you have a chance right now to type in on chat, if you're on the Zoom call, please do that as well, because we would enjoy hearing your experience. It's so significant for the whole human race.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another one that I experienced in a supermarket in Norway. And it was a bit, well, I found it interesting because of the way my state of mind changed during the time in the store. I was in there, I'd gone in with my basket or whatever it was. I was starting to do my shopping, and I saw this man walk in the door of the supermarket. He looked like he was perhaps from the Middle East. He had dark hair, very long, dark eyelashes, amazing eyelashes, and a beard. And he was eating an apple, and he was just carefree. There was something about the way he was walking, about his manner, that rubbed me the wrong way. I just felt so irritated. when I saw him.
Oh,
I just felt like, why is he so happy? When you're in a bad mood, you're having a bad day.
right.
I wasn't able to feel uplifted by his happiness. I just reacted basically. And then I forgot about it and I kept shopping. And then I got to the back of the store where all the produce was. And I saw him again. He was standing at the mandarin oranges and he was picking them up one by one. He had very long fingers and he was picking them up and he would pick up an orange and look at it and turn it over in his hand. And then he'd put it back down and he'd pick up another one. And he just kept doing this. And when I saw him there in this position, doing this with these oranges, I suddenly was hit by a wave of energy, which I think was love. That's how I experienced it. It just rolled over me. And I had to put down my basket and I just started crying uncontrollably. I couldn't stop. I just stood there and I think I cried for a good 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And the amazing thing was the store was full of people walking past, around, behind, in front, and not a single person said, "Oh, are you okay?" And that's quite unusual because in Norway, people are extremely solicitous or caring in the sense they're not afraid to come up and say, "Are you okay?" And so I noticed right away that nobody was doing that. And I thought, okay, something special is happening right now because this isn't normal, So yeah, that was quite amazing. And then the story continues because he, at a certain point, he moved away from the fruit, and then I carried on shopping as well. And later, when I got to the checkout counter, I saw that he was ahead of me and he was paying for something and he was starting to bag it. And what he was buying were an enormous quantity of industrial pastries, like individually packaged buns and croissants and different kinds of pastries like that, but the industrially made type. And he had a huge amount of them. He was stuffing them into the bags, but they kept overflowing and falling out. So I said, "Can I help you?" So I started helping him push these things into the bags. And we finally managed it. And then he left and he just said, "Have a good weekend." But it was a very impactful experience. That the love that I received and the way it hit me definitely changed me.
Yes. This is an experience that someone in London had walking with a group of her friends. She saw a man playing a guitar, and right next to him was an impressive man wearing a free hugs sign and talking about the fact that we are all one, as if accompanied by the musician playing kind of a gypsy, soulful, as I would think of it, melody. And it turned out that these two people were Maitreya expressing as two people at once. Her take on this event for her was that she felt an incredible energy of love. He talked about we're all connected to one another, we're unique individuals, even so, everything in the universe is connected. We are one. And he actually gave people hugs, and all the people in her group received the hugs too.
I would love to get a hug like that. The next thing we want to talk about is how Maitreya gave his teachings out to a close associate of his, where he's living in the Asian community in London. And these teachings that he gave out to this close associate were passed to a couple of journalists and then made their way to this book, The Laws of Life, by Benjamin Creme. So this is the only book that you will see where Maitreya's teachings are given in his own words. There are passages in the book which are, excuse me, quotations of his own words. And the rest of it is what he said to this associate in the associate's words. So it's quite different from the other books published by Benjamin Creme and by the Share International Foundation.
It just covers a full range of politics, education, all realms of life. It's worth reading. And now we want to review with you that we have discussed Maitreya's appearing to groups, religious groups, from 1988 to 2002, all over the world, and Mongolia even. He also had been working with many religious and political leaders who knew who he was, and he invited them all, about 200 people, to meet with him in 1990. And so that's part of the group meetings that we wanted to make you aware of.
Yeah, and we talked about those on the previous program that we did about Encounters with Maitreya. That's a few weeks ago. You can find it on the Share International Canada Facebook page. It's also called Encounters with Maitreya. And there you'll find more information about these meetings with groups and the political and religious leaders. And now we want to go on to talk about Maitreya on TV, because he has been appearing on TV. He's been giving interviews since 2010. And we're going to listen to Benjamin Creme talk about this.
When he appears first on television, he will not be called Maitreya. And people have to recognize Maitreya himself. If you phoned me up and said, I saw somebody on American television, is that Maitreya? I would not be allowed to tell you. I would not say, yes, it was, or no, it wasn't. You, from your own spiritual insight, your own intuition, have to recognize him.
And so we're just going to stop it there. We'll come back to this video in a second.
I can tell you about what his concerns are.
Oops, sorry about that. What we wanted to mostly make clear or talk about right now in terms of Maitreya's appearances on TV is that he's appearing incognito. He's not announcing himself as Maitreya. And the reason for this is that he can't infringe our free will. He can't come out and say, I'm Maitreya, until we've asked for him to do that. And so at this point in time, that hasn't happened yet. So what he's doing is he's there. And so his energy is streaming forth through whichever program he's on. People are seeing him, they're feeling his energy. It's changing people, it's changing events in the world. His message also, people are hearing the way he speaks. And as this process continues, more and more people will become aware that, hey, there's somebody out there that I've seen on TV who talks in a way that I really like about the problems of the world and how to solve them. And I want to hear more from this person. And so that demand, as it grows, will lead to what we call the Day of Declaration, which has been prophesied by Benjamin Creme. It will take place in the future. And we'll show you Benjamin Creme talking some more about this, about the Day of Declaration. But I just want to say something about prophecy, because when we hear a prophecy, it's easy to think, okay, well, then that's exactly what's going to happen. It'll happen exactly like that. However, a prophecy is something that is telling you the best possible outcome or what is probable, but all of us are influencing events in life on the earth. And so it's kind of like there are a lot of moving parts. And so you can't say it's going to come exactly like that. It may, but it may not. That things may change. It may happen in a slightly different way. The time factor also is something that we cannot be precise about. So these are things to keep in mind when you think about this.
But I just wanted to say one thing. We do have, before we start to listen to Benjamin Creme, we do have a responsibility to want and we'll talk about them soon, to want everyone in the world to be cared for and to have what they need to live. And in that way, we will bring forth this prophecy much sooner.
That's right. I realize I forgot to cue it. Let me just put it in the right place. There we go.
On the Day of Declaration, to get back to that, he will, I don't know how long it will take, maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something, 40 minutes, something like that. He will not speak, not say a word, but his thoughts, his ideas will be heard inwardly, telepathically, by everybody in the world, everybody above the age of 14. So if you're 14, you're Slovenian, you'll hear him in Slovenian. If you're Russian, you'll hear him in Russian. Americans in American, English in English, French in French, Dutch in Dutch, and so on. He will come into telepathic rapport with every adult in the world, and each of us will hear him inwardly, telepathically, in our own language. So you will hear him as if he's speaking directly to you, which in a sense he is. He thinks what he's wanting to say, and our brains will simply translate that into Slovenian, French, Dutch, German, Spanish, whatever. He will give a kind of account of the long history of humanity, show how old we are, from what a height, a spiritual height, we have descended into this materiality of today, endangering the very future of the species, and at the same time showing the future, what it can be like if we just accept that we're brothers and sisters of one humanity. We can create a civilization based on that, which will take us, as he puts it, to the very stars. And the masters will give to humanity their insight, their wisdom, their age-old wisdom and experience and knowledge, and stimulate and galvanize humanity into creating the most brilliant civilization. While this is going on, his energy, which we call the Christ principle, the energy of love, will flow out in tremendous potency throughout the world. He has said it will be as if I embrace the world. People will feel it even physically. And at the same time, and this will create an inner certainty that this is the Christ, an intuitive understanding of the message, a heartfelt response to the message. And on the physical plane, there will be hundreds of thousands of spontaneous miracle cures, healings all over the planet. And in these three ways, you will know that that one is the Christ, the world teacher, the Imam Mahdi, the Messiah, Maitreya Buddha, Krishna. By whatever name you await him, you will know that that one has come and beginning his outer mission in the world.
And so we just heard Benjamin Creme talking about Maitreya's announcement of himself to the world publicly. And this is what has been called the Day of Declaration, a day when we will hear Maitreya speak to each of us in his own words, telepathically, and many, many healings will take place. We will all feel this energy of love. And Benjamin Creme said, as though we were being embraced by him.
He said that people will discover their true inner divinity. So when we talked about people are divine, sometimes they're unaware of it. On this day, we'll all be aware of our inner divinity very clearly.
And Benjamin Creme also used the words the Imam Mahdi, Maitreya Buddha. So these are the names that are given to Maitreya by the various religions of the world. Muslims expect the Imam Mahdi. They have a prediction in the Quran which says the great Imam, the Imam Mahdi, will come in a future time to help humanity. Christians are expecting the Christ to come for a second time. The Buddhists are waiting for Maitreya Buddha, and Hindus are expecting Krishna, the flute player. So what we see is that this is a great, great, great event, something that has never happened before in the history of the earth. And so it's extremely thrilling to be alive right now and to realize this is probably going to happen in our lifetimes. Again, because of the nature of prophecy, I can't say when, I don't know when. Probably nobody knows when, because we're all influencing the outcome of this. But the more of us who want it to happen and who ask for it to happen and communicate that, the more likely it will take place sooner.
I wanted to mention, Sabina, that the name for this next appearance of Krishna would be as Kalki Avatar. So that may be a name that many people are used to hearing regarding the Hindu expectation.
And just to talk about the flute player, Krishna, the video we saw earlier of the man in the New York Public Library who was playing a flute, that's like a little message saying, yes, here I am, indeed.
We would recommend that you look at our past broadcasts of the rising voice of the people, the creation of a world public opinion, which governments cannot resist and will have to concede to. And because in the messages that we spoke of earlier, Maitreya at the end of message 11, going back to that message, says, my heart tells me your answer, your choice, and is glad.
So he's talking about the fact that overwhelmingly, we, the human race, our choice is to share, to make the world a better place for all. Our choice is not to continue down a path of greed and of destroying the environment. Now, our governments may not be ready to take those steps yet, but we, the people, are very clear on it. And more people are making their voices heard and using the power that they have, the power of their voice, to press for these changes. And Maitreya confirms it and says, yes, that is in fact the choice that the human race is making. We're in the process of doing it right now.
So we wanted to review the obvious priorities for someone like the world teacher, the same priorities that we all have that are enshrined in the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25 at the United Nations: food and clean water for every person on the planet, housing for everyone, healthcare of the highest quality for everyone, education. Everyone deserves education. Apparently, our education will go to age 28, and repair of the environment, critical at this time.
And so this is really a message of hope, because what we're saying is these great beings are here with us, and they are energizing us and inspiring us and helping us in the process of remaking the world. And we're doing it. It is taking place. I could not have imagined 20 years ago that we would have the type of world public opinion we now have, saying that global warming has to be halted, that the environment has to be protected. These priorities didn't exist previously. They were not shared on such a massive level. So what we're seeing is a real change in consciousness.
And Sabina and I have talked about this before. I, on my side, feel that it's not happening quick enough, that people must actually make these ideals reality. And so, we saw that with COP, where all the pledges are taken in previous COPs and nothing has been accomplished. And we're at a critical stage of the climate crisis. So we're looking for people to step forward from whatever level you want to, and actualize these priorities that are the priorities of everyone with a caring heart.
So Yvonne, when you use the word cop, you don't mean a policeman. You're talking about the giant Congress that's taking place right now on the environment, and it's called COP, C-O-P, and this is it's COP 26. That means it's the 26th time that this meeting has taken place. It's taking place in Glasgow right now. I believe it was meant to end already, but they've gone over time because they're trying to hammer out agreements. And I'm sure you've been seeing this in the news.
Yes.
So that's what you're referring to. We're going to move ahead now and just share where you can find more information. If you liked what you heard today, share-international.org is the website where you can find more information. There are also more videos of Benjamin Creme on the Share International YouTube channel. And you can get books and downloads at share-ecart.com. Some of these are free. There are 4 books that you can download right away, right now. The Ageless Wisdom Teaching, Maitreya, the World Teacher for All Humanity, Transmission, a Meditation for the New Age, and The Awakening of Humanity. And we're going to go ahead now into the meditation section of the program, and we will describe the meditation and explain how to do it. There are links under this video on Facebook where you can connect to share-ecart.com, and also links for more information about transmission meditation. So the magazine that we mentioned during the program, we mentioned it various times and said, you know, this was published in Share International Magazine, or this was published. This magazine comes out 10 times a year. There's no advertising in it. And again, if you're interested, you can find information about subscribing at share-ecart.com. You can also see abridged versions of it for free online at the website that we mentioned earlier, share-international.org. And so now to transmission meditation. We do 30 minutes of this at the end of each program. It's extremely powerful and very easy to do. It's something that anybody over the age of 12 can participate in. It takes no special knowledge or skills. You don't have to have previous training. Yvonne, would you like to describe how to do transmission meditation?
Right. It's a group meditation, and in the meditation, without focusing on it, we're actually automatically stepping down energies, spiritual energies, which then become accessible and useful to the general public. So it's the creation in cooperation with the hierarchy of masters who overlook these meditations of a pool of higher energy for the benefit of humanity. And we do the meditation by simply sitting, I would say comfortably, but also erect, with our head up, our chin up, and we simply think a mantra, Om. So our focus will be on the Ajna center. The only use of the Om is to bring our attention back to the Ajna. This is a meditation that is also a karma yoga and a laya yoga. Karma yoga, a yoga of service, and laya yoga, a yoga of the chakras. Here is the chakra that will allow us to be used by the spiritual world of masters to use energy to step it down to a better form, as a socket in a wall has stepped down energy. That lightning would also be a demonstration of, so that we can actually use it for electricity and lights as we have. So I think we need to focus. Then we think the word Om and our attention comes back. But the primary way of bringing in these spiritual energies is saying the great invocation together. That alerts the masters of wisdom to start the energy flow.
So we begin the meditation by saying the great invocation together. And because it's a group meditation, we must be 3 people or more. It's based on the science of triangles. So you can form your own group with 2 friends. You can also join by Zoom. There are groups meditating together from all over the world using Zoom right now during the pandemic, when people can't or don't want to go and meet each other physically because of the danger of the virus, coronavirus. So there are links in the chat for these Zoom meditations. If you're interested, you're welcome to come and join us and meditate with us.
Yeah.
So basically today what we'll do is we'll start by saying the great invocation together, and then each of us will sit wherever we are, meditate, as Yvonne was saying, on the Ajna center, and use the mantra Om to bring our attention back. We like to say before we start that you don't need to believe in anything to do this. That is, you don't need to believe in the energies or the masters or any of it. It's a simple technique that if you just do the technique or try it, you'll experience for yourself what there is in it. It also does not interfere with any other practice that you might have. In fact, it will enhance the other things that you do.
So are we ready to start with transmission meditation?
I think so. There's one last thing I wanted to say, because you were talking about stepping down the energies. And I just wanted to mention that these energies are streaming into the earth from our solar system, but also beyond our solar system. They're beneficial energies that help and stimulate all of life, including us, the human race. And as Yvonne was saying, very often they have such a high frequency that we can't absorb them. And so by doing this meditation, we help in the work of making these energies accessible and available to people by stepping them down, by lowering the frequency. As the energies,
excuse me,
as the energies pour through our chakras, they are automatically lowered in frequency. And then the masters direct them wherever they see that these energies are needed. So we don't send energies anywhere. We simply act as channels through which the energy passes. Because of the beneficial... Okay, you go ahead, Yvonne.
I was going to say that the Masters of Wisdom and Maitreya are the custodians of those energies coming in. So the energies, particularly through Maitreya, who has great energies coming in through his being, are coming in to benefit us.
And I think what I'll do is, just before we start meditating, I'd like to mention our next program, which will be on November 27th, Signs of Maitreya's Presence in the World. And what's interesting is that these signs take the form of what's happening in terms of our processes, that is, mass movements, demanding justice, demanding sharing, demanding action on climate change, racism, all types of problems. And at the same time, completely different types of signs, crop circles, light blessings, circles of light, crosses of light. There are all kinds of signs of Maitreya's presence in the world. So we'll be talking about that on November 27th, and we hope you'll join us.
These encounters with Maitreya are also signs of Maitreya's presence in the world, and that's why we were so excited to present them to you today, particularly the individual blessings, which we could share with you, but we know that you also are having in some way.
Absolutely. So do write in and share your experiences. We'd love to hear about them. The more the better, because it's always an inspiration to read about something like that. So I think we're ready to start the meditation. We'll meditate for a half hour. Please do join us. Yvonne, would you like to say the Great Invocation? I'll mute out, but I'll say it along with you.
All right, I'd be happy to.
Wherever you are, please do join us. And at the end, we'll disconnect. And if you want to continue meditating, please do.
Now sit comfortably with your eyes closed. When you have to repeat Om to bring the attention back to the Ajna Center, do so silently, mentally. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. from the center, which we call the race of men. Let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
And that was transmission meditation. We've just been meditating for half an hour. And if you like what you see here, please share the link to this video and join us in 2 weeks on November 27th for our next program, Signs of Maitreya's Presence in the World. I'd also like to thank Bob Jordan. Thank you, Bob, for sharing your story on Facebook, your encounter with a Master of Wisdom. This is exactly what we are hoping people will do. Please do share your stories. We know that everybody has been having these experiences and we want to know about it. We'd like to hear about it. So please write in and share your experiences. Post them in the chat, post them on Facebook, and we'll be very excited, and we might use them as well. So please feel free to share your experiences. And that brings us to the end of today's program. I'd like to thank Cielito Pascual in Seattle and John Montgomery in Montgomery, Alabama, for helping us with tech support. And I'd like to thank you, Yvonne, for being here with me today as we talked about encounters with Maitreya. Thank you very much. Oh, maybe you're muted right now.
Yeah.
There you are. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Salita. Sabina, for unmuting me. And I appreciate so much being on the show today. I want to let people know that Message of Hope Weekly YouTube is a place where you can find the shows that we've done, and there's a plethora of them. So look there.
Right, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.